That's the mean of that data set. Now, for data sets that aren't too large, finding the mean or the median or the mode by hand is not so bad, but of course it can get pretty messy. So I'm going to just jump ahead here a little bit and show you when we have larger data sets, or we just need to get the summary statistic quickly so that we can use it for other things. Let me show you how we would do that with our graphing calculator. So this is your first lesson with graphing calculators. I'm sorry that's not in person, but let's see if we can't pick this up together. The first thing to do is to enter the data. And so sort of the first part of this lesson is, how do I enter data into my calculator? And I'm talking not about what we just did for the mean, where I just typed on the home screen this plus this plus this. I'm talking about enter the data set and then letting the calculator look at my list of numbers and calculate the mean and calculate the median and all these other summary statistics we'll eventually need. So the first step is entering a data set. So to enter a set of data, to put in a list of data values, you're going to go to the Stat menu. So on your calculator, you'll see a button that says Stat, and I'll pull it up in a second. And then we want, when we hit the Stat button, we're going to see this menu right here show up on our screen. It's actually 3 different menus. There's an Edit menu, a Calculate menu, and a Tests menu. To enter your data, you want to use the Edit menu, which is the first one that shows up. This is the Edit menu. And then we want to edit a data set. You want to enter a list. And so we're going to choose under the Edit menu, we're going to choose the Edit option, and that's going to bring us up, bring up the next image that you see here, which is your list space. And so this is where you're going to enter your data. You're going to type your data into a list. And so I think the default, they give you like 5 or 6 different lists that you can enter at one time. At the top are the titles of the lists. So list 1, list 2, list 3. You can change those titles, but please don't change those titles. Just leave them L1, L2, L3, L4, and I'll explain why. You probably have all blanks here if you've never used your calculator before. I have already typed, these numbers in. Those are the, oops, that's not what I meant to do, but okay. I have typed these I have typed these values in here. These are the, I believe anyway, the 2 data sets that we were just working with when we were finding the mean. Let's see. Yes, those are the data sets from examples 2, and 4 that we've worked on together. And so I've already typed those in. So let me get out of here and show you how to do that. So back to my calculator. Okay, so here, let's go through that again. I'm going to hit clear. If you want to clear your home screen, you just hit clear. And so now in order to enter data, I go to Stat. I need to go to Edit. I can arrow left and right to get to the other menus, but we want the Edit menu. I can arrow up and down, but I want 1, so then I hit Enter on 1, or I can just hit the number 1. So I'm going to hit Enter. Now, if you do have data in there for some reason, you can clear your data set by using the arrows to get up to the list name and then hitting clear. Do not hit delete. Delete will actually delete it, and you don't want that to happen. So to clear a data set, you arrow up to the title, L1, L2, etc., and you hit clear and then enter, and that clears your list. Go up to L1 and hit clear. And so from there, I can start typing in the data. And so for, let's say, if I want to type in the data for number 2 that we were doing before, I just, I'm in L1. Make sure you make a note of what list you're in. So I'm in L1, and I just start typing 25, and I hit enter, and then 27, and I hit enter, and then 33, and I hit enter. This is the data from example number 2, and so on and so forth. You'll notice as I'm typing the numbers, I want you to pay attention to the bottom here, and I'm going to actually pull this back up in the PowerPoint slide. Notice that when my cursor is it's a little finicky. Notice that when my the cursor right now is on that 61, the first number in list 1, I want you to look at this reference on the bottom. This means I'm in list 1, and it's the first data set. first entry. So that's essentially my x1, and that's equal to 61. If I arrow down through that data set, that would change to L12, L13, L14, and so on and so forth. So you can use the arrows to scroll through your data set when you have it in there. So that's how we enter data. If you want to get out of that list screen, you just hit second mode or second quit again to get out of the list screen. And then once our data is in, the next thing we want to do is ask the calculator to calculate summary statistics. So we're going to go back to that stat menu, and we're going to use the right arrow to get to the calculate list. So that's going to bring this up here. I'm going to hit stat. I'm going to use my right arrow to get to calculate. And then what you see here is the calculate menu. There's a lot of stuff on here. The only thing that you're going to use is this one var stats. In the calculate menu, we're going to go to one var stats. When you hit enter on one var stats, it's going to pull up a screen that looks like the next one here in the middle of the slide. The title is one var stats, and it's asking you for two things. This is asking you for two things. First, it asks you for the list, and so you want to tell it which list your data are in. Then it's asking for the frequency of that list, and you're going to leave this blank. Do not type anything here. Leave freq list blank. Do not type anything there. And then you're going to just use your arrow to highlight calculate and hit enter. So highlight, calculate, and hit enter. Once you do that, then it's going to pop up a new screen. This is the output screen. So I call the last one the input screen. That's where you tell the calculator what to look at. And then this screen here is the output screen. This is where it tells me all the things I want to know. And so on this output screen here, notice it says X bar. So that's the mean. Notice that mu is nowhere on here. Okay, and so this is the mean. Whether or not your data came from a population or a sample, X bar is the mean. It could be a population mean, so this could really be supposed to be designated as mu, but the calculator knows that the formula for the mean is always the same whether your data come from a population or a sample. So then rather write two different things, like rather than have like a mu equals and then have the same number, they just use X bar. So similar to like I have said before, I'm going to assume I have a sample unless I'm told otherwise. The calculator assumes your data come from a sample, and you have to know better. Okay, so you have to pay attention to whether or not your data come from a sample or a population to know whether or not X bar is the correct notation for the mean. But that first number denoted by X bar is always the mean. The median, you'll notice nothing on this list. So then you get the sum of the x's, the sum of the x's squared, something called SX, something called Greek letter we'll talk about next class. Here's n, that's the number of values in the data set. Notice they're using lowercase n. This could be a population size. You have to know your data. It's giving you the minimum value of the variable, which is kind of cool, something called Q1. And then I want to point your attention, draw your attention to this arrow here. That arrow means there's more stuff in the list. Okay, there's more stuff in the list. And one of those things is the median. So let's go ahead and do an example. We'll actually type this data in so we can see the median. It's further down in the list, so we would just use our arrow to get there. So let me go ahead. I'm going to type this data in. So take a minute, see if you can't remember how to enter the data. So, pause the video and enter the data for yourself while I do it as well. That data in. Notice that there are 15 data values. These are quiz scores. These are actually my calculus students. Don't worry too much about them because their quiz was out of 12 points. So some of them did very well. I'm just arrowing down to the end of my list. Notice that it says L115, so that's the 15th data value. So I'm confident that I have them all, but I can always scroll through to double check. And now I want to go ahead and I want to calculate the summary statistics because I'm being asked to get the mean and the median. So I want to get out of my list screen. Those of you using the app on your phone, you absolutely positively need to make sure you back out of every screen before you go into a new one. So that's, again, on the mode button, you see above it is the word quit. So you hit the second and then quit. And now I want to go back to get the summary statistics. I go to stat. I arrow over to calculate. So once my data setter is in, I go to stat calculate, and then I want one var stats. I hit enter. I want to tell it where the list is. So let me make this a little bit larger here. And I want to draw your attention all the way to the bottom of my calculator. You see where the numbers 1, 2, and 3 are at the bottom of my calculator? Notice that above on the number 1 key in the top left, it says L1. On the number 2 key, it says L2. And on the number 3 key, it says L3, and so on and so forth for 4, 5, and 6. So my data list was in list 1. So I'm going to use the second function of the 1 key. So I hit second 1, and that pops L1 into my list space. Okay, if I clear that out, let's just do that again. I hit second 1 to bring up L1. And then I arrow down to the word calculate, leaving the other space blank, and I hit enter. And so here are my summary statistics for my students' calculus quizzes. So on their calculus quiz here, just got to put myself in a specific mode. Okay, so now I have the mean of the data set is the X bar. So the mean is the X bar, and that was 7.6. Now, this was my whole population of calculus students. I'm not using this as a sample, and so I'm just going to scratch out the X bar, and I'm going to denote that as mu, because this was in fact my population of students. And so the mean for the population was 7.6 out of 12 points. The median, I have to scroll down. Again, remember the arrow there. See where the cursor's flashing in the very middle of the screen? There's an arrow and then it says Q1. That means there's more to come. So I just use the down arrows in that little circle on my calculator. And it's actually the very next one. It says MED. So median is MED. And it says the median equals 7. So the median, we'll write MED equals 7. So the median was 7. Okay. Let's see if you can get some practice there finding the mean and median with your calculator.